1, 2, 10.
Well, good morning, folks. Welcome back to the farm on what appears to be the coldest day of the year. Well, coldest day of the season, I should say. We probably had something. Actually, we did. In February, we hit minus 50, so definitely not the coldest day of the year, but coldest day of the season so far. I'm just running some kitchen scraps out to the chicken house, and today's all about business. We are going to be making sausage today. So we got an old English recipe, secret recipe that I'm going to share with you here. I won't show you the sausage making process because, well, to be honest, I'm probably going to screw it up several times, and I'm just not skilled enough yet to make a tutorial on how to do that. So I could show you the escapade, but it probably wouldn't help you make your own sausage. But when we go in the shop after I feed the chickens, I'll show you what we got done so far, and I'll share the recipe with you. And if you're interested in making some good old-fashioned Lincolnshire sausage from the old country, this might be for you. So seeing as how it's Sunday, and it's the day we typically fill our molasses feeders, and it just so happens to be minus 25. It'd be a really good day to show you this. Maybe not filling this because I need both hands to fill this, but I can show you unloading from the tote over there. We had a lot of folks, when we started talking about molasses and using it as a mineral supplement for sheep, that we're kind of doubtful as to how well it would work at this time of year. And honestly, I can tell you, it works fantastic. It really does. Still, it's got enough salt and mineral and it doesn't freeze, right? Does it get thick? Sure, it gets thick. But is it thick like molasses you buy from the store? Absolutely not. So let's go get a bucket and see. Now we get all our molasses, same place we get our grain actually, from Bloom Enterprises, just out towards Lynburn past Hythe there. And we get all our animal feed from them. We get all our molasses mineral supplement from them. It's a really trusted local source. And in fact, later on today, we're building a sausage. Rob and Bloom, the guy that runs Bloom Enterprises, he actually lent me his sausage making kit to see if it was something I wanted to get into. Top-notch guy. So if you need feed or you need supplement or anything like that, highly recommend, look him up. They also have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page, so they're out there. If you're looking, they're easy to find. So this is our setup here. I just got a tote on an ATV trailer. And this tote, when it was new, I just got it right before the first snowfall, holds 2,200 pounds of molasses. And I was kind of banking on about, 80 to 100 pounds of molasses per sheep for the winter season. So as you can see, I just put a 2-inch pipe right off of the valve. We go ahead and crack that open, and there you have it. Pours just like nothing. So anybody that's scared of using molasses thinks they're going to have to chip it out of this tank when it's 30 below. The proof is in the pudding, right there. So I got a magnet on the back of my phone, so I stuck you to the hay feeder so that you can see how this stuff pours. And you can see just how much the ewes actually love this stuff. They're probably going to fight me for it, actually. Maybe fight's a strong word. A 20-liter pail like this weighs about 44 pounds. It's actually incredible how much it weighs. Now the big fella wants in on some. You see, and they'll drink it right out of the bucket like that. Now the other thing that people often said was, well, if you're putting molasses out there, are they just going to lick it all up until it's gone? Well, what I found was really interesting this summer, when everybody was out on pasture, they wouldn't touch this stuff. Not because they didn't want it, because they didn't need it. And so sheep and cattle, they're both pretty smart that way. If they don't need it, they're not going to eat it. Doesn't mean you're not going to put it out there for them, free choice. But they'll decide when they need it. See, Thelma likes a little taste. There you go. Now these molasses lick tanks, we also get them from Bloom Enterprises. And inside the tank there's a little device called an adaptable. They're incredibly hard to get here in North America. Actually, I believe they ship them over from the UK. It basically works on the same concept as the old rollerball deodorants or a rollerball pen even. There's just a ball that floats inside of a column, and obviously the tank is full and that column sits inside the full tank, and as they lick the ball it just picks up more molasses and just keeps fresh stuff at the top. Now I can get this about 2/3 to 3/4 full before the ball hits the top, and we'll call it good and we'll go fill up the other tank. So as it stands right now, each of our sheep is going through about 2 to 2.5 liters of molasses every week. So we'll put a bucket full in each of those lick tanks every week, or thereabouts. 15 to 20 liters usually is what we put in there. And now when they get closer to lambing, that's probably going to increase up to about 4.5, maybe even 5, depending on if they're having singles or if they're having twins or triplets or something like that. They're going to have obviously different needs. I'm almost done morning chores, but the old cheeks were getting the better of me. I had to come in the shop and warm up, and I thought we'd take a look at this sausage recipe here. We only keep the shop actually about 9 or 10 degrees, and that's all it really takes. It makes a big difference actually in the wintertime, just to keep this about 10 degrees. It usually keeps everything just where it needs to be. We do have to run a tiny little heater in the bathroom in the back. That's where our water well, like the pump station and everything is. It's got a variable frequency drive. It's not like an on-off pressure switch. It's actually a VFD. So it actually increases the pump speed as the water demand increases. So that's kind of cool, but we gotta be really careful we don't freeze that up, because that would cripple the whole farm. Anyways, sausage, yes. So in here, we got 2 bowls. This one's our traditional Lincolnshire sausage. This is actually a breakfast sausage recipe I just invented on my own. This one here, I'll pop it off so you can see what it is. So this is actually pork shoulder, and we run it through the grinder once already on a coarse chop. So the chopping plate is about a 3/8 hole. So the meat actually, that's the thing with British sausages. Typically your Lincolnshire, your Oxford, your Cumberland sausages are actually chopped meats. They're not a ground, like they're not a complete emulsion basically when you get them done. The other thing that's unique about British sausage is it adds something called rusk. So rusk is like breadcrumbs, but in fact you make a loaf of bread without yeast essentially. So it's like a flat hardtack type bread, and then you grind it all up and that makes your rusk. So we're going to be adding that to our Lincolnshire sausage here today. So the recipe I promised I would share, the old secret recipe here. There's probably going to be somebody from the old country knocking on my door here in the next few days telling me, hey, you're not supposed to share our secrets there, laddie. But anyways, yeah, Lincolnshire sausage, this is what we're mixing up today. 5 kilos of lean pork ground up. 1.25 kilos of pork fat ground up. Now we're using pork shoulder. So pork shoulder comes with lean and then obviously the fat on the outside. And it works out to be that 25%, 30% fat content that you actually really works perfect for sausage. So that's what we're using is pork shoulder, and we don't have to worry about the 5 and 1.25. But if you are getting 2 separate meats or 2 separate packages, that's what you're looking for, 25 to 30% fat content in your sausage. We're also going to add 5 cups of that rusk that I was talking about. You can also substitute that with breadcrumbs if that's what you have available. 3 cups cold water, 10 teaspoons of white pepper, 20 teaspoons of sage. Yes, there's a pile of sage in Lincolnshire sausage. That's what gives this very unique, very strong, very flavorful sausage. And then we're going to pipe all that into a 32 millimeter casing. Now, you notice that I ground all that up and it's sitting in the fridge. So when you grind that, you chop it initially, hand fold in all your spices, and then leave it in the fridge for, some people leave it in for a couple of hours. We've left it in there for a couple of days. What I'm really looking for there is for all that sage and that pepper to just infiltrate into every little nook and cranny within the meat, so that there's not one single bite that's going to taste different from the next. It's all going to be jam-packed with flavor. So the next thing when that comes in, I'm going to fold in the rusk, add a little bit of water, right? That's the other unique thing about British sausages is the water. So you're adding the water to offset the dryness of the rusk. Now, where this traditionally comes in terms of British sausages is post-World War I. There was a meat shortage. And so what British butchers tried to do was basically come up with a filler that would compensate for the low meat content. So they started making and adding rusk. Well, in the early days, in fact, some were even using sawdust, but we're not that hard up, no. But we are looking for that consistency and to kind of meet the specifications of the traditional British banger. So then you add the water basically to offset the dryness that the rusk would add. And when you cook these sausages, they will pop or bang in the frying pan. And that's where the term bangers comes from bangers and mash. Yeah, it's actually because there's such a high water content in the sausage. So that's a little unique thing. So we're also gonna make the little breakfast sausage that I had in the other bowl. And then I have a third breakfast sausage recipe that I have on the other side of this piece of paper that I whipped up here this morning. Also very high in sage. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of sage. But we're gonna have a few little secret ingredients as well. So we're gonna mix up 10 pounds of lean ground pork. What we had some lean ground pork left over from a few years back that's been sitting in the bottom of our freezer. It's not from one of our pigs. We're going off grid when it comes to groceries here, and I just don't want to see that stuff freezer burn or go to waste. And so I thought, okay, well, let's just run it into sausage. So we got 10 pounds of lean ground pork, 2.5 teaspoons of garlic salt, 2.5 teaspoons of onion salt, 6 teaspoons of sage, 6 teaspoons of maple sugar. If you don't have maple sugar, brown sugar works just as well. 2 teaspoons of allspice, 2.5 teaspoons of smoked paprika, and 5 teaspoons of white pepper. And we're gonna pipe all that into a 23 millimeter casing, breakfast sausage casing essentially. And as I said, I'm not gonna actually film too much of the sausage making process because I don't feel I'm qualified yet to really provide any source of education. I can share my recipe with you because this goes a few generations further back than me, and I know it works. It's just the actual finesse part of it, of getting it into the tubes that I'm not really comfortable with yet. Maybe I'm gonna go out there and knock it out of the park. I've got a buddy coming who maybe has experience with this, or maybe it'll just be a joint fiasco. I guess we'll see, but I will share the end product with you and let you see how it looks. And if it's a win, great. If it's not, well, worst case scenario, we can make sausage patties. Okay, so sausage stuffing is done. It went very, very well. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm ready to go pro now. That doesn't mean there wasn't lessons learned. So we definitely learned if you get air in the sausage stuffer and when it shoots out of the spigot into the casing, it just goes off like a machine gun. It's just like pop, 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 pop. But it's just, instead of bullets, it's meat and it's all over your kitchen. And it's funny, but leaves you a mess to clean up. But no, it went really, really well. It went, like I said, it went better than expected. And quick. It still took us like 3 hours, but still quicker than expected. And what I realized after we were done is that I really didn't take anything for footage, and I'd already put everything in the freezer. So what I did do is I captured a couple of photographs throughout as we were coiling and did some of the linking of sausages that we did. So here's that, and you can see how well that went. So I really do think that actually went quite a bit better than expected. And actually it was a very positive experience. We had a bit of a taste of the sausage. It absolutely 100% bang on, tastes like authentic Lincolnshire sausage. So I couldn't be happier, to be honest. I'll stop myself right there. I could be happier if I had a cup of tea and a little bit of Christmas cake, which I do have in the house waiting for me. So I better let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.